give you all a warm welcome, but I think we're going to call an audible right now and just say welcome to the first Hall of Fame banquet at Canby High School. We are more than excited to see the number of people that we have here. When we began talking about having a banquet, we were hoping we could get 200 people, we'd be excited, and we doubled that. So first of all, we thank you very much for that. Before we have our meal, well, Doug's getting set up, we had to wait until we got the hallway cleared so he could bring his food cart way down there. I thought maybe I would just give you a little history of how this all came about. A couple of community members, sports fans, were riding on a trip to a game and were talking that some of the great athletes in Canby and that, and oh, I didn't know that about one guy, the other didn't know something about another one. And they said we should do something to have around to recognize these people. And nothing kind of went on for a year or so, and then they happened to meet up again and started talking about Hall of Fame and invited a couple other friends. And finally, we got together a group of about 15 people, and everyone agreed that this would be a good idea, and we should set about that. So last September, we started soliciting some copies of the Constitution and bylaws from other schools, colleges and high schools, their Hall of Fame. We took those information, went through, picked out what we thought was relevant for our situation in Canby, and came up with a Constitution and bylaws, which were then adopted and have been tweaked since. And starting then in, I believe, November, we started soliciting names of people to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And asking the community and members of the committee, anyone could submit names of individuals that they thought would be worthy of being in the Canby High School Athletic Hall of Fame. We had a good response. I think it was just under 40 possible inductees that were presented to the committee. Through the bylaws then of our committee, we have 10 people on the committee. There are representative, one from the school board, a boys coach, a girls coach, the activities director, and then 6 people at large in the community. To be selected for the Hall of Fame required a vote of 75% of the members of the committee. And that's how we got to the 10 special people that we're going to recognize today and the 2 teams. We would like people to know that there is a banquet to be planned for 2009. We set it up that there would be every other year banquet, and at that time there would be another 10, or up to 10, I believe is the way it's worded, inductees, and 2 years down the line from that, odd numbered years, there would be up to 4 or 5 more inductees. So we're not going to have an annual event, but semi-annual is the plan at this time. And based on our success of you folks being here tonight, it looks like we're started in the right direction. People should be aware that anyone can nominate somebody to be in the Hall of Fame and present information to the committee. Anything that has been presented already is on file and will be kept, and those names will be introduced as possible candidates for the next election. But we can also have additional names being submitted, which I hope we will have a lot more, because I know there are people that are worthy that we do not have information about yet. So that's something for you to keep in mind for the future. And now, before we have our meal, I would ask that you listen. We will have a short blessing. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your help in bringing together the special people we honor tonight, for their contributions to the school and community. We have truly been blessed and are thankful for this. At this time, we'd like to have a short pause, memory of the individuals that are on the teams and members of our 10 inductees that are unable to be here or have passed away. Thank you, Lord, for these special people. Bless this food for our needs. Amen. And now, I got the thumbs up sign from the hallway, and I believe the crew will begin serving our meal. Enjoy. So, at this point, our first presentation of honorees will be the football team of 1946. A member of that team, Mr. Jim Gerald, is going to make the presentation. Jim?
Greetings to all of you from the football team of 1946. I was a member of that team. A little about the season of 46. We started our football season 2 weeks late because of the polio epidemic. That year we played in some games in quite cold weather, also wet weather. We played on the lake field where they play softball now. We also practiced there, and we held practices even before the school sessions began. Sometimes after practice, some of us went swimming to Lake Cochran. Transportation from practice was provided by the Canby JC. Dr. James, the Beechers, and many businessmen were involved in that. One night after Dr. James let me off, he missed a curve and tipped his DeSoto on its side. In a period of 3 years, we had 3 coaches. We went from one that had no plays to one that had some plays to Coach Perry Doning, who had plays that teamwork was involved in the execution of. We would even have chalk talks in our open periods at school. And this coach wasn't above stopping you in the hall and asking what your assignment was on a certain play. Do you team members remember what your assignment was on play number 2? A line plunge. Play number 2 was really used in the Appleton game. The editor of the Appleton Press had said in his paper, that we were mainly a passing team. Well, Coach Doney maybe needed his words. After we held Appleton on downs and they had to kick to us, Chuck Ray, our quarterback, came to the huddle and said, I believe we can run number 2 from here every play and get a touchdown. And we did. We had the reputation of a team that was willing to use some unorthodox plays. We had this play that we as linemen would just let our man come in, no blocking, and Chuck would throw a pass to either Herb Mikkelson or left end, Arlen Jepson. Then we would block anyone we could find. Coach Doney was of the opinion that if you hit your man harder than he hit you, you won. And with Perry Doney, you had only one way of playing to win. We started our season playing Clarkfield. Score, Canby 26, Clarkfield 6. Then Canby 21, Dawson 0. Then Canby 19, Ortonville 0. That game was played in the rain on the lake field, and it was wet. Then Canby 18, Tracy 0. Then Canby 21, Madison 0. In that game, Bert Thompson, our center, got the first 6 tackles of this game. The ground was frozen and it was about 20 degrees. Coach Doney said where he came from in Gregory, South Dakota, they used Scone's liniment and cold weather on their legs to keep them warm. Well, the Madison players sure kept losing hard, for many of them had tears running from their eyes. I don't know if it was from the Scone's liniment or not. Then was Canby 34, Appleton 0. Then Canby 7, Olivia 7. Olivia had a very good team, well coached in fundamentals of football. They blocked well, tackled hard, and had teamwork. The next morning, I crawled down the stairs backwards. My mom could not understand a game like that. She never went to a game, but my dad went to every one. Maybe it was the tripping in the defensive line that made my leg so sore. There was a referee named Doc Henry that had such a large protruding stomach that he couldn't see the ground close to him, and what wasn't seen wasn't called. His favorite saying in clearing a pile of players was, "All right, off on him, off on him." Then we played Granite Falls for the Little Sioux Conference Championship. The largest crowd at Canby football history attended that game. Jim Bredeson, a returned veteran of World War II, did some really good running that night, and we won. Canby 18, Granite 7. For the season, we scored 164 points and had 20 points scored against us. Now I will read the roster of the squad as we stand on one of the pictures. Please wait with your applause until I have completed the reading of the roster. I will read the name of our deceased members just as they are, for we remember them as living team members. And remember, there is no I in the spelling team. Our substitutes and practice members were just as important as the starting team members. As I call the name of the squad members, the squad member present would please come forward and stay in front as we will be taking some pictures. Anyone that is here to honor that squad member as their name is read, please stand where you are. Anyone that is here to honor a deceased squad member as their name is read, please stand where you are. I will begin the roster. Wendell Miller, Bill Granger, Jim Severson, Bill Livingston, Walter Henish, Lowell Hunt, I know he's there, Irvin Mikkelson, Ron Smith, you were down the front. Irv was a young little boy about that big. Ron Smith, Lowell Hunt, will you come forward? Dwayne Bettings, Russell Christensen, Gilbert Cameron. Anyone in here honoring him? Charles Ray, Howard Lund, Joel Christensen, Lloyd Westfall. As you can see, we have many deceased members of our squad. Patrick Miller, Jeff Wood, then it was Coach Domi, Lloyd Nelson, Corky, known as Corky Nelson, student manager, Herb Thompson, Lyle Wimber. Lyle Wimber is deceased, but when he played with us, he had not like I have now, but nice flowing hair, you know. And on the back, he had some hair that kind of went up like this. And he was an avid duck hunter, and so he had the nickname of Pintail. Harlan Hansen, Herb Mikkelson, Jim Bredeson, Jim Gerald, Arvin Jepson, Dennis Frederickson, Roland Tibbetts, Roger Isaacson, that was an assistant coach, David Cole, Dudley Knudsen, Lauren Lindbergh, Archie Bruins, Manny Gorski, Paul Tate, Clive Cookett, Lyle Gorder, Bill Larson, Leroy Hemmich. That's the end of our, oh yeah, Jim Trick.
There were also some cheerleaders on that team, and Jim left the notes here with their name: Doreen Bacchus, Bonnie Henches, and Virginia Christensen Cragness.
About 60 years ago, I would have jumped off here. I would like to thank my wife Sylvia, Dennis Frederickson, Dad, his wife, I bet we were the only two guys that had two former teachers as advisors. Thank you all for coming. And in closing, I will say to you as team members, it was great playing with you. May your football runs be always longer. May the passes you catch be for touchdowns. And may your blocks be clean and hard. God bless you all.
Thank you, Jim. Our next honor team will be the football team of 1950, and we have a representative of that team, Mr. Bob Miller, who will share some memories.
The 1950 football season was an 8-goal season. We scored 334 points against 62. We were rated second in the state in all sizes of schools. We placed 6 all-conference players. The names were Mike Dunphy, Adrian Henrich, Bob Miller, Wendell Miller, Leroy Rolls, Ron Smith. We placed 8 honorable mention on the All-State team. They were Adrian Henrich, Mike Dunphy, Wendell Miller, Ron Smith, Irvin Mikkelson, Bob Miller, Leroy Rolls, and Mark Stratton. Our co-captains were Adrian Henrich and Mike Dunphy. I'll read the names of the complete roster, and I'd like to have one's president come up here. Kenny Anderson, Irvin Mikkelson, Leroy Rolls, Louis Pearl, Huntsy Hamish, Mike Dunphy, Marv Stratton, Bob Miller, Ron Smith, Ron Funk, Gerald Tremendy, Dick Tesh, Jack Leverins, Wendell Miller, Don Hanson, Jerry Ornseth, Homer Eichens, Everett Rasmussen, Gene Mammer, John Snortum, Roger Anderson, Stan Hansen, Dwayne Olsen, Ron Emmons, Darrell Gugru, Dennis Peterson, Lester Fairchild, Jerome Christensen, Harvey Cack, Roger Ormseth, Howie Hunt, David Slama, Lewis Miller, and Tony Mueller. Our coach was Neil Davis. And now I'd like to read the names of the cheerleaders as they will join us up here too, or up front. Gladys Christensen, Leo Mullen, Patsy Oxendorf, and Gwen Tibbetts. Those were all big names, by the way. That's it, thank you.
Our first individual inductee, Don Millard, will be introduced by Gerald. Don was a well-known pitcher in the area and in high school, and one of his catchers was Dar Snortum. So Dar's turn to make the pitch.
Thank you, Milo. It is my privilege to introduce Don Millard, the class of 1941, to be the first member of the first group of Canby Athletic Hall of Fame. Don's accomplishments are listed in your program at your table, so I'm not going to go into any more detail, except to say that Don was an all-around athlete. However, his abilities peaked in baseball, where he was a superb pitcher and hitter. Now I'd just like to give you a few personal memories of Don. Don is 3 years older than I am, and circumstances happened that had me catching for him when I was a sophomore. Here I was catching for this big all-star pitcher. And Don told me that we had to get together and discuss the signals we would use. And I stammered something like, "Golly, I don't know how to call signals. You just throw what you want, what you think is best." And I remember Don laughing and said, "Well, you've got to know where the ball is going." Up to this point, I'd been catching kids my own age, and there wasn't a heck of a lot of difference between a fastball and a curve. And all of a sudden, I found out why I had to know what was coming. A ball that looked like it might be hitting the batter, but all of a sudden be over there at the right corner of the plate, and if you didn't move your mitt from here to there, you weren't going to catch that ball. And the ball that looked like it might be going over your head would suddenly drop down to the plate for a strike. I was always glad that I didn't have to face Don as a batter. But I would be remiss if, while talking about Don, I didn't mention his dad, Phil Millard. Phil was Canby's Mr. Baseball. Carrying mail was his job, but baseball certainly wasn't his passion. When I was playing, he was coaching and managing 3 teams at the same time. The Canby Cubs, those kids up to 15 years old, the American Junior Legion, kids up to 17, and the city team of adults. He must have had a game or a practice every day of the week. I'm sure he did. Over on the memorabilia table out in the other room where we started, there is a short paragraph from the Minneapolis Tribune that reads, "Don Millard, Canby pitcher, sort of took things in his own hands when his team was behind 3-1 with Hansonville in the last to 9th. With 2 mates aboard, he crashed out a homer to win 4-3. Now that was in the city league. Now, I'm sure somebody else will say, there's no such town as Hansonville. What the heck is that all about? Well, Hansonville was a bunch of farm guys out here in their marble store that always had one heck of a team. Anytime Canby played Hansonville, it was a barn burner, I tell you. Their field was right by the Bohemian Mall. I believe their team was sponsored by the ZCBJ Lodge. And I remember people out there sitting right along the baseline, and because everybody knew everybody else, things really got pretty heated sometimes. Now, at one of our committee meetings this summer, a strange coincidence occurred. Someone had given Sig Armitage a baseball with this note attached. 1947 baseball. Don Millard hit this ball for a home run to beat Hansonville. Willie Roberta of Hansonville retrieved it, and Lawrence Ferguson received it from Chris Nims, who got it from the Roberta estate. So it's kind of a long history, that ball, but how about that? After 60 years, an old baseball turns up just in time for our ceremony. Now, the newspaper article I mentioned is from 1941, but this ball says, this ball beat Hansonville in 1947. Millard hit the home run. So obviously that means that twice Don hit home runs to beat Hansonville. So I am honored at this time to present Don as a member of the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, Don was unable to be with us tonight, but I'd like to have his wife and his son are here, and I'd like to have his wife Esther come forward to receive the plaque and the baseball. Now, not strange enough, but a lot of you don't know that Esther is a sister of her marriage. So we've got 3 Mickelsons up here on the stage. It's my pleasure to present this plaque and this very important baseball to you and Don. Give Don our regards, and we wish he could have been here, but we realized he couldn't. So.
He's not going to believe this is one of the baseball games. Thank you, Gerald. And thank you. That's something that Don wanted to talk about this. He wanted to thank his dad and honor him because Bill was non-stop baseball. And he's done with them. Couldn't have done what he did without him. Oh, this is marvelous. He's going to enjoy it. Don is now in a nursing home, getting rehab, and we hope to get him home, but he could not come, be in a wheelchair, and the steps would not have worked. But thank you so much. Thank you. It's been fun.
One thing I would like to mention is that the plaque that the recipients are receiving now, the plaque similar to that was in the lobby of the cafeteria, you may have seen before you came in for the banquet. And those plaques are going to be hung in the hallway out here. We're going to call it the Wall of Fame. And so people will be able to see them when they come to athletic events here in the Canby High School Gymnasium. Our next recipient is Gerald, currently lives in Canby. And Gerald is going to be introduced by Keith Rapp.
At this time, I'm going to have Dave Luschik, is Gerald's stepson, going to come up and say a few words.
Hi, everybody. Right now, you paying attention to me? Can you hear me okay? I want to check with her, make sure she can hear me okay. I'm David Luschik, I'm Gerald's stepson, or Jerry, as we actually call him. A few words that are written by his brother Jim, I'd like to read for this evening. Jerry was president of his graduating class, and he graduated at age 17. Even though he was encouraged to attend the University of Minnesota, he knew he would be at home because of his father's poor health. It was a decision he never would regret. Soon after graduation, Jerry was drafted by the Armed Forces but failed to pass the physical. At age 24, he was drafted once again and served in the Army and passed the second time. But anyway, he was in the Army from 1951 to 1953 and was stationed mostly in Japan at that time. Soon after being honorably discharged from the Armed Forces, Jerry helped organize and was an aggressive partner of Great Lady Area Farm, which proved successful for more than 20 years. In 1975, Jerry met, fell in love with, and married Brenda Busher. Jerry had served for 13 years as secretary of Marble Lutheran Church and was instrumental in Marble Lutheran presenting a $15,000 donation to the Canby Hospital, and they awarded a perpetual $15,000 scholarship to the Canby. Brenda passed away in 2006 from an unexpected heart attack, and Jerry was crushed. He is devoted to his stepsons, Donnie, David, Bradley, and their families, plus his sisters-in-laws, his nieces, and nephews. Jerry is very thankful for his parents, his brothers, and his sister. Jerry lives in Canby and looks forward to joining Berger and other loved ones in Canby. And Jerry, your family is thankful for you and proud of your being honored here tonight. And also, I just want to say a few words on my own. You know, I come to know Jerry later, so I don't really, a lot of you know him as the athlete and so on, but I don't know as a stepdad friend. You know, you get together and his twin brother Jim is sitting here in Vancouver, and if you didn't know the difference, you know, we know the difference, but they're very much alike. Not only in Gust, but in character as well, and they were very much alike in athletic abilities. Jim suffered a knee injury in sports in school. I'm not sure it was basketball or what, but in them days you didn't have such a thing as reconstructive knee surgery, so he did well, but his knee held him back for many years. But getting to know Jerry, he married my mother, and I got to know Jerry over the years, and Jerry is, to me, he became a dad to me. It's easy to see why he was such a good athlete, because Jerry, when he would tackle something or do something, he would go after it 100%. There was no 50% or 75% or 95%. There was 100%. He sold out to whatever he was committed to, and he didn't rest easy until the job was done. Jerry, to me, represents a man of honor, of integrity, and how he lived, and he showed me how he, well, he gave a good example of being a loving husband and a respectful husband, how to treat his wife. Much more to say, but I'm very proud of Jerry. And he is well deserving of the award of being inducted to the Hall of Fame. Meade is a wonderful fellow and very deserving of this honor. So I just congratulate you, Jerry.
Thanks, Meade. Now I'd like to call Gerald up.
My honor to present you with this platform.
I want to thank the selection committee, Gerald and Drietz. I could have been the easiest one if I was, given the effort, you would only be a fit. I'm thankful for giving Keith, they did everything for me, everything. They helped me so much when I really needed it. And the first people go ahead. I want to thank the members of my family who are here. They're very clearly here. It means a lot to me, and I miss Rhea and Gerald. I'm forever grateful for my parents. They always supported us through some very difficult times. Very patient, helpful, never wavered. I feel honored to the fun. Thank you for coming, and God bless all.
Our next inductee, for Mikkelson, from the class of 1947, will be presented by Sig Armitage.
my honor to introduce Mikkelson, an inductee from the class of 47. They married classmate Dorothy Landstrom, and they have 4 daughters and 14 grandchildren. They currently live in Sioux Falls. Kurt spent 29 years with Madagascar in Sioux Falls, Lincoln, and Minneapolis. He excelled in basketball and football. With the aid of his teammates, Kurt was the first Canby athlete to reach the 1,000-point club in basketball. And he held a high individual game of 48 points in the broke in the late 50s. He was also on the undefeated football team in 47. Kurt was very active in church and community work. He was named Volunteer of the Year in 1993 in Sioux Falls for the Habitat for Humanity. He received from Alliance International's National Office the Mellard Jones Award. He also served the Sons of Norway Treasury for 14 years. His first volunteer effort was donating $200 as a young man pushing a loaded wheelbarrow up a ramp building our Savior's Church in Canby. Sports fans, Bredeson.
First of all, I'd like to say that I had 3 girls when I was in high school. Their last name was all Ray. That was Gerald, Jim, and Chuck. I have to say that I admire those people more than any others. So, thanks, guys. I'd like to say something about expectations of team members. During my employee years, I discovered that I performed better in a team atmosphere, much like the sports teams that I was a part of at Canby High, more than 60 years ago. Sometimes fellow team members have expectations of me that were more than I thought I was capable of delivering. Consequently, you can say that my team members made me do it. In football, for the undefeated team of 1946, you've been introduced to those who made me live up to their expectations. In basketball, during the 1946-47 season, we were the first Canby team to win a District 9 title and proceed into the region. Region 3, that is. My departed team members from that class of 1947 are Chuck Ray, Howie Lund, and Joel Christensen. It was their expectations that I had to meet. And that is how I come to be here tonight. Other teams in action. Another team that has performed in an impressive fashion is the Hall of Fame Committee. I can just imagine the work that went into it. I think they are to be complimented for this event. And I'm certain that St. Armitage has demonstrated its love of Canby High in the athletic program it has supported. I am grateful to all involved and admire Canby High School for their support of this event. I have always spoken highly of my hometown and my high school. I've lived in 3 states, but whenever I brag about my hometown, I have to admit that I have to respond to questions. No, I am not a wrestler. I'd like to thank my family for coming tonight. I told one of my daughters that I expected no one to come. But I said, if you do, I'll buy your ticket. 26 later. Thanks for coming, all of you.
Our next inductee in class of 1951, Ron Smith, will be introduced by Sig Armitage.
The inductee Ron Smith, class of 1951. He married Dee Vanberg from Marshall. They have 3 children, 3 grandchildren. Ron passed away in 2003 and he lives in Bloomington. Ron was an all-around athlete who helped put Canby on the map in the early 50s. He was all-district basketball 3 years in a row. He made the 1951 all-tournament team. Ron was also a member of the 1950 undefeated football team. He was a starting end for the Minnesota Gophers. He coached Little League Baseball, spent his life in the insurance business and finance planning. Here to accept the nomination for Ron is his son Scott and his grandson Jesse. Sports fans, Ron's son and grandson. If you guys don't remember what Ron looks like, look at these 2 guys.
It's in the nose. My grandpa was a very special athlete, a great competitor, and I'll give you an anecdote that I thought on the way here for his competitive nature. Back in my playing days, he was definitely an athletic mentor for me. And there was an occasion I came home from playing basketball and pick up, at the park, and he comes and says, "How'd you do today? How'd you play?" "Oh, we had fun, and told a couple anecdotes about what happened." "Well, did you win? How'd you play?" "We didn't keep score, really. I don't remember." "No, you play to win." So that's what he had for me. And I said, "All right, sure, good enough." And he looks at me, and he bends down and starts tying up his Converse All-Stars. And he says, "Let's go. We're going to the courts. Keep in mind, I'm 17, bouncing around, and he's a 60-year-old man with 2 bad knees and a bad hip. So I think I got this in the bag." Well, you can guess where the story went. He put me in my place in Meade at age 60. So it gives you an idea of his competitive nature. He never stopped. He loved playing sports, and he taught me a lot. And parting for me, he really loved being part of Canby, and it's nice to know that he thought the same way as he felt for Canby. So thank you very much.
I got to start by having Jesse come up here and show you his tattoo, number 89, in memory of his grandpa, in the University of Minnesota. Do you think he saw his grandpa? All right, I got to start by asking, how many people remember the Smith 5 and Dime store? That's almost everybody. That was Elsie, Grandma Smith. It's been a great ride for the whole family the last 50 years. Hearing the stories of the University of Minnesota and Canby. It was really interesting to talk to everybody out in the lobby, and I made each person tell me a Ron Smith story, and found out there was some truth in what Dad was saying. They did shoot free throws granny style in those days. I also asked my family to give me some stories to tell you tonight, and one of the stories that came on to mind, we drove into town and saw the Midway Cafe, and Ron had gone down there to have a beef commercial way back in 1946, sophomore in high school, 9th grader freshman, and he came back to the house and his dad said, "Well, are you full yet?" "Nope." "Well, here's another quarter, go down and have another beef commercial." Time 2. Dad came back, "Are you full yet?" "Nope." "Well, you go down and sit down there and have as many beef commercials as you want, and I'll take care of the bill." Well, I think the grand total was 6. That record still must stand today. Like I say, it's just a great honor to be here, and I wish Dad was here. And this night is for Elsie as well as Ron, as Ron was Elsie's trophy in life. And just thank you all very much.
Our next inductee from the class of 1952, Early Mikkelson, introduced by Gerald.
Herb Mikkelson grew up in the 40s and 50s, and he played whatever sport was in season, and if there was 2 sports in season, he played both of them. And they played in the backyard, they played on the vacant lot, they played in the school playground, they played before practice, they played after practice, they played Saturday and Sunday and all summer. And they learned to pick up a ball without having a coach around to tell them what to do with it. I don't have anything against coaches, but some of them are nice guys, but they way overdid it, and it was way overdo it right now. I first met Herb Mikkelson in 1966. He was coaching in Ortonville, and I used to see him in conference meetings, and we played golf together a few times, so I knew he played golf. I'd heard stories about him being on the Canby state basketball teams and his famous hook shot, and on that 1950 great football team. And when the Hall of Fame was organized, I thought he'd be a prime candidate to be in the Canby Athletic Hall of Fame. So I started looking into things, and I found out that he also played baseball. In fact, he told me later that baseball is probably his best sport in American Legion and high school baseball. And then I went through some newspapers and some annuals, and I found out that he pole vaulted and high jumped good enough to win the district and the conference and qualify for the state tournament. I think if Canby had cross country and wrestling in 1950, Herb probably would have figured out a way to let her in those also. I'm working on an exhibition match between Fred Full and Herb Mikkelson after the Banquet. 16 letters in 4 sports in high school. St. Olaf, they wouldn't let him double up in a season, and they wouldn't let him compete as a freshman, so he only had 9 letters at St. Olaf. Another thing I found out about Herb was he won't take credit for anything he didn't do. When we started to put profiles together, we sent them out to the different inductees to make corrections and additions, and Herb called me twice. And the first time we knew he was moved up to varsity basketball in 8th grade, and we had him with 17 letters. And he called to tell me, I don't think so. We didn't have baseball until I was a sophomore, so I couldn't have lettered 4 times in baseball. So we had to chop that one off. Next time he called me, I'd read in the paper that Herb Mikkelson was the center and leading scorer on the 1951 state basketball team. He called to tell me, I don't think so. Ron Smith scored more points than I did. And so we had to dig through there again, and it looks like Ron outscored him in 1951, and Herb held the school record for most career points. But anyway, I finally got him to agree to what's on this plaque. Herb would like to have you come up.
Thank you, Jerry, for nominating me, and also thank you for presenting me here this evening. I too would also like to thank the committee members for all the work that he was definitely responsible for the development of interest in history. Gerald, Ray brothers, Millard, their teammates, these were the people I watched when I was growing up. In grade school, my brother was in the 7th grade. Very, very instrumental in developing interest in it. Gerald played the thing I remember most about Gerald was the intensity, the enthusiasm he had for sports. My brother Herb, I guess my brother Herb is in fact of my life more than any one individual. Not only in athletics, I feel very fortunate of having an older brother. Pick up games in the neighborhood and so forth. Just automatically learned. When I was growing up, especially basketball, if I wanted to get a shot off, I either was shooting downtown, way out in front, or became almost a very good shots. So I feel very, very fortunate to have an older brother that's impacted my life so many positive ways. Ron Smith, I don't know what I can say about Ron, it hasn't already been said. Ron Smith, Ron Smith is probably the best all-around athlete that ever played at high school. Ron and I competed against each other with each other. And I think this is better than being both of us what happens. This is good stuff. Ron and I played football in 1950 football game. We played basketball, mostly basketball in 1950 and 1950. We played baseball together on the track team together. But I think Ron would be the first one to acknowledge that. Maybe Ron and I are in the knowledge here of Meade games. But only because he means that we're very, very good enough in our room. We feel very, very fortunate to have played with. And I feel over the years we have some memories that lasted us life. As far as the coaches are concerned, I played for three different coaches. Harry Downey, Roger, Isaacson, and the old all very influential in our life. I feel very, very fortunate. I actually started playing basketball very young when I was in the 8th grade. Willie Millard, Ron Smith, freshman, I was in 8th grade. They would play the first quarter of each play, then the rest of the rest. I would play the first half, then the rest of the rest. We did that about the first 4 or 5 ball games. After that, it was always up to start playing. There were about 6 of us that all played most of the play. So I feel very, very fortunate that I've done this very young. Actually, at the end of that particular year, was the third year next descent. I guess you realize that I probably was going to grow up. As Herb had played center for the previous 3 years. But I feel very, very fortunate to have the opportunity. So the next 4 years, I actually had to play in Roger Isaacson, they had basketball club, and baseball. Neil Davis, had football coach, and very, very fortunate. And this is closing, I would just like to thank Canby High School, all of them. And I've always felt very, very honored and privileged to call myself Canby High School. Thank you.
just want to remind our presenters and those that respond, you have to be about 3 inches away from this microphone. Some of the people in the back are having a little trouble understanding, so we ask that try to keep that in mind. You can't look right there. You have to look at the audience. Our next inductee, Ron Meade, presenter Keith Pratt.
Ron Meade, the class of 1958, was recruited by over 40 colleges and universities from the smaller schools like South Dakota and North Dakota to the larger schools like Minnesota, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Colorado. Ron decided to continue his football career at Division I Nebraska, where he played defensive back, quarterback, and was a place kicker. Ron has been married to his wife Sharon for 46 years. They have 2 daughters, Wendy and September, and 1 son, Doug, and 6 grandchildren. Ron is now retired from a 40-year banking career in Nebraska and Colorado. Ron and his wife Sharon now live in Saddlebrook, Arizona, near Tucson. He enjoys golf, tennis, and softball. And at this time, it's my honor to call up Ron for his award.
Thank you very much, Keith. Thank you to the selection committee for choosing me to be honored. And, I'm very proud and humbled to be amongst this group of fine individuals and outstanding teams. I'm also very, very happy to say that I get to be inducted with my 2 boyhood idols, Mikkelson and Ron Smith. There's a few things that people don't know about Ron Smith. He stayed in touch with me through high school, college, and sent me many letters of encouragement, congratulations, and I'd just like to thank his family for me. I'd like to acknowledge my coaches, Norm Oberlin and George Potter, and thank them for their confidence in myself and our teammates. I obviously wouldn't be up here tonight if it weren't for those folks, and I'm very grateful. At this time, I'd like to dedicate this award given to me to my very, very large and extended family here in Canby, and to my wife and our 3 children and grandchildren, of whom I'm very, very proud. Most importantly, I'd like to thank God for everything that I have been given and the opportunity to play sports. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of you for being here and showing the kind of support that you have shown. This is just unbelievable to me. Thank you very, very much.
Our next inductee, Brian Gust, will be presented by Steve Curry.
Brian Gust was born in the summer of 1949 and grew up here, obviously, in Canby. While I said he grew up, he obviously got older. You can hardly call 97 pounds as a senior in high school growing up. Of course, he wrestled for Canby High School, graduated in 1967. Brian wrestled 1 year for Bemidji State before joining the United States military. He served in the elite Green Beret Special Forces as an engineer and demolitions expert. Those of you that know Brian as well as I do understand why he was so good as a demolitions expert. Brian continued to wrestle in open tournaments during his military service, and after being discharged from the military, he attended the 1972 Olympic trials. He studied nutrition at the University of Minnesota from 72 to 74. wrestling for the Minnesota Wrestling Club in local and national tournaments. By 1974, Brian was the top wrestler in the country at 57 kilos. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's 125.5 pounds. And he remained so the top wrestler at that weight class until 1980. In 1975, Brian made a life-changing decision when he received the Lord Jesus Christ as his personal Savior. And 1 month prior to the 76 Olympic trials, he tore the cartilage in his knee, but still continued wrestling, becoming an alternate at 57 kilos. From 75 to 82, Brian served in the health club management team for Sports Health Club, where he trained thousands on exercise and diet programs. Brian continued his training and national and international competition, never taking his eyes off that Olympic goal. He told me not too long ago, and I wasn't surprised, that the lessons he learned here at Canby High School helped him with that perseverance and that diligence. Well, that paid off, finally being rewarded when he won the Olympic trials, becoming the United States representative at 57 kilos on the 1980 Olympic team. His competitive career was, for all practical purposes, ended when a heavyweight landed on him and fractured a disc in his neck. Now, what 125-pounder would be wrestling a heavyweight? Nobody except Brian Gust. The same guy that would go stomping through fields, pheasant hunting, with 2 pins holding his leg together. Brian coached the high school teams at Lakeville High School and First Baptist Schools of Rosemont, where I was privileged to coach with Brian, and our boys wrestled together. Brian continues to volunteer with Minnesota Wrestling Club and at Egan High School. 7-time national Greco-Roman champion in 76 and 80, United States Greco-Roman Olympian, Brian Gust.
First, I'd like to thank Bredeson for nominating me, and see if I can fall over. And the Hall of Fame committee, for all their hard work and the vision that they had to put this thing together. Special thank you to my parents, my wife, my children, my brothers, Dan, Lee, Glenn, Perry, and Doug, family members, friends, teachers, coaches, and athletes. My brothers probably have more to do with this than anybody, but there's a couple other people here too. I'd like to have them stand real quick. These people help me compete at the international level. I'd like to mention Brad Diamonds. Stand up, Brad. Little Sioux Conference Olympian, that's Brian Gust and Brad Ryan, represented the Little Sioux Conference of the Olympic team in 1980. Dan Chandler, 3-time Olympian, and Gary Pelso, Pan Am team. These guys actually helped me train to prepare for what really I accomplished. Thank you to also Thank you to also order for the unbelievable participation that Canby as a community showed at the Brian Gust Cancer Benefit held in September of 2006. Your generosity and kindness were truly overwhelming. The fight still rages on, but like I've always said, as long as you don't get pinned, you can still win the match. Now, tiny, who in the world is tiny? Like Steve said, it started in my career, I weighed 67 pounds. I lifted weights every summer and each summer I gained 10 pounds. So as a senior, I weighed 97 pounds, is about 4'11". Okay, you remember that, right? It was embarrassing. You go to the weigh-ins, and you had your parka on, your boots, your pockets full of goodies, and the scale was set at 95 and it never moved. I was the envy of all weight cutters, especially Glenn and Lee. They really had to cut, and I'd eat all night, and they'd have to suck on ice cubes. After high school, serving my country as an Olympian at the U.S. Army as a sergeant of Green Berets and Special Forces was a great experience. I even got to visit Paul Anthony down in basic training. A very elite, intense unit. It was adventurous, challenging, and rewarding. If I wasn't skydiving into Athens, I was skiing down the slopes of Maine, all part of my training. It was great. As far as wrestling goes, the sport of wrestling really has developed and honed several character qualities that I applied in my career and throughout my life. Determination, respect, responsibility, initiative, perseverance, and desire. As an international athlete, amateur athlete, representing the United States in Canby, Minnesota, it was funny, somebody said to me today, "Gee, welcome back." I said, "I never left." And you never leave Canby, you're always from Canby. But to travel internationally, to be international, to stand on the podium, the top one of the podium, and have the national anthem played, to be from Canby was just breathtaking. I believe you all agree with me that it begins with an initial goal. And that success is this, a progressive realization towards a worthy goal. In 1972, I watched the Olympic Games on TV, and I set my goal to become an Olympian. 8 years later, I made the team. I realized throughout my career that it wasn't my timing, but it was God's timing. And Steve mentioned that I tore the cartilage in 1976. Well, that wasn't my deal. I didn't want to go 4 more years. But God had a different plan. And the lessons that God taught me from 76 to 1980 were for eternity. The lessons were that God really had to be trusted. As I competed, I never really prayed and asked God to help me to win. Seems strange, but I always prayed Isaiah 41:10. That verse says, "Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will help thee. Yes, I will strengthen thee, and yes, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." Wow. You get anything better in your corner than that? I mean, how could I lose? Now, did I lose? Yes, because God had some lessons for me to learn. And they use that same verse today as I battle today's battles, matches, and trials, because I fear not, because God's word is true. You know, it was cool how wrestling became an international language for me. We could go anywhere in the world, have a workout bag, a pair of wrestling shoes over your shoulder, walk into a wrestling room, and instantly communicate without knowing the language. We'd work out, we'd shower up, end up socializing, and beginning relationships with people from around the world that still exist today. There was a time, however, there was a lack of international language. It happened to be the 1974 World Championships where Dan and I were together, and we went back through customs. I had 2 carry-on bags, and the customs official came by and said, "We can only have 1 bag." So I looked behind me, and the gentleman didn't have any bags. So I said, and he didn't speak English, so through sign language, I asked if he'd carry one of my bags. And he said he would. Now, because we got lots of souvenirs from Poland, I had to make some extra space in the bag. So I took my protein can, which had some protein powder left in it, dumped the protein powder into a plastic baggie, and threw the can away so I had some extra space. Well, I didn't know where that baggie was, but I went through customs first, and the gentleman that had my bag, he was behind me, and I'm standing on the glass on the other side of the custom inspection room, and I'm watching through the glass there, and the guy, the custom official opens up the bag, and this guy's standing there and pulls out this little white baggie with powder in it. And the custom official is looking at this bag, and he looks at the gentleman, but then the gentleman was just as white as powder, and in total shock. And imagine this, he tried to deny the bag was his. And the custom official was right. And he just like this, spread eagle up against the wall, guns were drawn, this is a drug bust. Well, it took about 20 minutes and they realized that it was protein powder and they let the guy go. He gave me my bag back, but no hug. I feel that as I went through life, it's very important, and certainly to me, that you don't take relationships for granted. Your family, your friends, your wife, these are people that what life is really all about. It's not about Brian Gust. In 1975, I began a relationship with Jesus Christ, as I asked him to be my Savior. A very important relationship in my life, and a great blessing to have his security in the midst of challenges and troubled times. Challenges not unlike David and Goliath. We all have our Goliaths to fight, and they won't be easy. Plan on it. Yours are coming. Because we know that. Now, did David beat Goliath? No. David took the fight to Goliath. God beat Goliath. Because David's faith in God and God's faith and David's faith in his abilities that God gave him helped David win the battle, just like he's helping me. If any of you are troubled, lonely, perplexed, or have questions, let me invite you to accept Christ as your Savior, just as like He is mine. You know, it's been interesting over the years how little things become great memories. A couple of years ago, while I was at Canby, Gary Stokes asked me to say a few words to the team at a car wash fundraiser. If you guys don't know, Gary Stokes is an assistant coach for the wrestling team. They went to state that, or rather I challenged them, and put 2006 on the sign as you come into town. Boy, do you remember this. And I also was able to work out with the team that season, but that's a whole other story. They went to the state that year, fired up, and in my opinion, had one of the greatest team effort victories that I've ever witnessed. Canby 25 and Frazee 24. At my cancer benefit, the team sent me this t-shirt, signed by the team. It just doesn't get any better than this. This is what it's all about, not Brian Gust. And having that opportunity to impact others. In closing, let me say this. It's not about me. I'm going to be gone. This is a testimonial of the past. You can't live in the past. We learn from the past. But we look to the future. The flag must be carried on. Who is going to carry the flag? Will you? You know, as I look back at my years in Canby as an athlete, I did not in my wildest dreams imagine that I would be here today accepting such an honor. I can only look up and simply say, I've been blessed of God, it's not about me. I'll leave you with these thoughts. Live your life with few or no regrets. No what ifs. What if I would have did this? What if I had done that? As individuals, you can and do have the capacity to achieve your goals. That your dreams daily depend on that personal faith in God and believe that you have it in yourself. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Mr. Bill Bredeson, and Patty Meade will be introducing Bill.
In wrestling, he was named the Region Assistant Coach of the Year in 1986 and 1992. He was named to the Dave Bartella Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2003. Bill was instrumental in the Canby community as well. He was the Canby Community Recreation Director for over 20 years. He was on the ambulance squad and served as director for over 20 years. And in 1993, he received the honor You Make a Difference Award from the Canby Hospital. On a personal level, Bill was both my coach when I ran cross country and my mentor when I was given the privilege to be his assistant coach in cross country. So sure did make a difference, and I'm pleased to see him inducted in the first class of the Canby Hall of Fame.
First of all, I'd like to thank Patty and all of the committee who have done such a fine job in organizing this and getting all of these fine people here recognized. I think it's really an outstanding accomplishment that this has been done. Next, I'd like to thank a few other people that are here. First of all, would be my wife, who put up with 31 to 32 years of absence. 36, she says. When I was coaching. Also, I had a son back in the corner back there that's headed for the back row pretty soon. Sorry about all the games that I missed because I was going the other direction, Scott. There are also a couple of people that I'd like to mention before I go. The first would be an individual that called me to his office at the end of the first year of my teaching career. He called me in his office, shut the door, and said, you ran in high school, didn't you? Ran? Yeah, I ran in high school. Good. You're going to be the new cross country coach next year. I said, I don't know anything about cross country. He said, that's okay, you'll learn. Of course, that individual was Mr. Estel Slum. He was a very good mentor to me and was always there when I needed somebody to bounce things off, get advice from, and needed a really open hand once in a while. Another individual that I'd like to also mention that played a very important role in my coaching career would be the guy that probably built the wrestling program here into what it was, a strong element in southwest Minnesota, and also expanded that to the state of Minnesota. Of course, that person was Jerry Jenkins. He and I never really had a lot to say to each other, but we just knew what was going on between us. Jerry, thank you very much for that. The last people that I'd like to mention and thank would be the individual athletes and their teams, the parents that I was involved with in the years that I did coach here in Canby. I think with their help and support in those years, there's a lot of things that have been accomplished. You've given me a lot of memories, kids, parents, and I appreciate that. And I really feel that I've been blessed in my coaching career and in my days at Canby. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee, Fred Full, will be introduced by Coach Gerald.
Fred Full was, my memory serves me correctly, was a member of a family of 7 boys. Fred was number 4 right in the middle. Don was the oldest. Don had to learn to wrestle at school. That was tough, but after dawn, the next 6 that didn't have to learn at school, they learned at home. And I think we started practice out there about August 1st. And to go with that background now, Fred had a tremendous amount of natural ability. Fred could do things by instinct that other people could practice for years and still not do. Fred, a lot of people have asked me this, how strong is he? And I have to say, I really don't know how strong he is. Strong wasn't a factor in Fred's wrestling. With Fred, it was reaction, it was quickness, it was balance, and it being in position. He didn't force things. He seemed to know when something was there and when it wasn't there. We don't coach those things. If he faced an opponent that was physical or overpowering, that didn't matter. It didn't enter into the match. To beat Fred, you had to beat him with technique, and that wasn't easy to do. I think Fred was probably ready to wrestle in the 7th and 8th grade. He had a coach at the time that wouldn't let him have a tryout until he got in the 9th grade. And if he had wrestled in the 7th and 8th grade, he probably would have had 150 wins, which in the 70s would have been a lot of wins. I think my favorite Fred full story was in 1976, Canby qualified for the state dual meet tournament. It was in the second year of it at that time. And I was calling around the different towns that we might have to wrestle, and one of them was St. Michael, Albertville. I knew we were going to hit them, and trying to get scouting reports, so I called, I had a college friend that coached in Region 5, and he gave me some good scouting reports. So anyway, I called him asking for a report on St. Michael, and he started going through the lineup. He got to 126, and he said, how are you there? I said, well, we're pretty decent. And he said, well, St. Michael's got a kid by the name of Gary Dahlheimer. He's dominated everybody in A and AA in the metro area, and what you need to do if you got an alternate is put him in there. Don't waste a good kid on this Dahlheimer. Well, I couldn't wait to see the match, and Fred beat him 6-1, and he beat him again in the individual tournament, and I think Dahlheimer ended the year in 3rd in the state with 2 losses on his record. Fred was proof that you don't need to be mean to be a wrestler. A lot of times we got a weigh-in, and the coach would call me aside after the weigh-in and said, I don't think we're going to wrestle at full. And if we do, would you tell him to go easy? You don't understand. You don't have, there's no worry. Fred never hurt anybody. And he won a lot of matches, and it was always painless. Anyone that ever watched Fred full wrestle knew they were seeing something special. He was a class act, and I'm honored to present Fred with this award.
Thank all of you.
Very much. It's an honor to receive this award. I would like to thank all the people who support me during my wrestling career, including my mom and dad, sister, my brothers and coaches, fellow wrestlers, friends and fans. Thanks to all my brothers, I had a lot of practice wrestling on the living room floor. And to all the Canby wrestlers, we had one of the toughest practice rooms in the state. All the hard work and preparation was worth it. I have enjoyed being part of the Canby wrestling community. Wrestling for Canby Lancers has given me memories that I will never forget. Thank you very much.
Meade, Pam Drietz Olsen, presented by Bill Bredeson.
When I was asked to introduce Pam, I was pretty pleased, and when in doing so, I dug out the 40 years that she ran cross country and watched tapes for about 4 to 6 hours. And it reaffirmed a lot of the memories and thoughts that I had of Pam at that time, and that she was really a leader. And the attitude and the determination that she had at that time obviously carried through in track and cross country with the amount of accomplishments that she had in high school. That also carried into her college career, as seen in the records and the accolades that she accomplished there. She did an outstanding job there too. Then I think it carried on a little bit farther into her life after the college career, and went into, she thought she would run just one marathon. She had a feel of it. Well, after 6 of them, I think, if not maybe more. She's still an outstanding athlete. And I asked her last night if she's going to be going to run the marathon this year, but obviously you see why she isn't going to. Anyway, Pam was an outstanding athlete. Now was an outstanding athlete, and I was always been very highly of her. Hey, Reeds.
Thank you to Mr. Bredeson for being my presenter tonight. And I don't know if he realizes what a huge part he has been in my life. He has taught me so many things in subtle ways, as Mr. Bredeson does, and he made me want to be a better person, not only as an athlete, but as a person. I know there are many other people here tonight that feel the same way about him. I'd also like to thank the committee that started this process of honoring the people that have been such a huge part of the Canby High School legacy. And I'm humbled and very honored to be recognized tonight with the many people and teams. Their accolades and stories have been very interesting, and it took a lot of hard work from many people to allow us to hear these stories. And it takes a community like Canby that rallies around their school to make this such a success. And I would label, if you look around tonight, I would label this a success. Thank you to the committee, and we look forward to the next inductees. Canby High School and Lancer Athletics have been a huge part of my life, not only from the experience I've had here, but because of the many people I have met. They have shaped every facet of my life, and the decisions I've made, and the values and qualities that I want to emulate in my life. And part of that has also come from my family. I come from a family of 9 children, and we grew up on a dairy farm. I'm number 7. And sometimes I think Dad would just let the cows out so he could just watch us all run after them and chase them, so laugh at us and chase them. But maybe that helped me in the long run, who knows. The work ethic my parents displayed to us every day was amazing, and I learned and watched from all my older brothers and sisters. And I am very lucky to have been part of such a supportive family. It's not easy to watch a cross-country meet, for those of you that have been to one. You don't sit still. And watching a 2-mile race at a high school track meet, which is 8 laps, or a college 10,000 meter, which is 25 laps, is not very exciting sometimes. But my family was always there to support me, and it has meant the world to me, and I hope they know how much they need me. I learned that anything is possible with hard work from my family, but also from people I met at Canby High School. I remember so many times coming in, watching the wrestling team running with their loads of clothes on, and coaches running with them in the morning just to get in better shape, I think is what they were doing. But, and then the other teams that put in the 2-a-days or the extra long practices. And I think I learned from all the coaches and people like Mr. Sohm. I can remember him standing in the hallway, and without even saying anything, he could speak volumes. And those of you that remember him know that. And then there were the coaches that just sat calmly on their chairs and didn't say anything, or the ones that got a little excited when things were crazy. And I thank you all for the lessons that you taught all of us. Mr. Bredeson was my coach in cross country when I started track. He was instrumental in my desire to run, and he's going to run a marathon with me at We talked about it. But it seemed he taught older athletes that he had to help the younger ones. And because of people like Laura Stone and Kelly Mortensen in cross country and my sister Mary Kay and Wendy Shellick in track, even as 7th graders or rookies, we felt we were just as important and a part of the team. And the teammates I had over the years were people that influenced me every day, and I think I enjoyed practices even more than the meets or the awards. The ability to not quit when you are down and out is something I learned, and it helped me in cross country and track. And I'm not saying I never gave up, but I've learned so many things that have helped me in life from my running career. The ability to set goals and dreams. Those dreams may not happen tomorrow, but at least it helps to know on some days when nothing seems to be going right that you have the dreams and the goals. Mr. Bredeson was big on our goals. And I'm thankful for the friendships that I developed. My best friend that I met in grade school is here tonight, and I know no matter where I am, she'll always be by my side. And the track meets in the area, and people that were in track or wrestling, it really is the people you meet. And it is really who you know, not what you know in this small world. And I met lots of nice people. The respect and kindness I learned from coaches, the teammates, and administrators, and the community of Canby are some of my favorite and most important qualities, and I want my children to learn those. If we all think back to a favorite memory we have, it was probably when someone was very kind to you or respected you. And I remember the times my other track coach, Gerald, she'd go that extra mile to drive us to a real track. And we'd drive to Marshall to run on a real track. Or we had Kevin Hansen, for those of you that know Kevin, he used to be my distance coach, and he'd run with me. And Andy Kreitzer, they'd take the time and the energy to run. And it was that respect that they showed to us as athletes that taught us respect. And the confidence I gained at Canby High School, for those of you that know or have had a teenage girl, confidence and self-esteem probably isn't the highest at times in high school, but running helped me through that, and that was the people that supported me and helped me through that. And it still helps me now, and I think sometimes my husband pushes me out the door to run to get out of my stress and everything else. So I don't feel like I did anything special, and I got to meet, some incredible people while doing something I love. And I'm thankful and hopeful that my children will be able to have experiences like I had and to be as proud of where they come from as I am of a community like Canby. And I need to add one last thank you to my husband Chad and my kids Josie and Claire and Ellie. They're better than any runner's high I could ever have. And I thank you for being there. They've listened to all my stories in these past months. I think one of them even asked me, when I talked about my coach, he made you run 100 miles? Not at one time, but and the most important training I could do is to be a good wife and mom to you guys, so thank you. And I want to thank again the committee and Mr. Jingles for nominating me, and to Mr. Bredeson, and congratulations to all the other inductees. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but as a member of the committee, I only hope that those of you here had as much fun and enjoyment out of this evening as we did in preparing and getting this to come about. Because when you're doing something that you believe in and enjoy, it is not work, it's fun, and I hope you feel that way about this evening. Word of thank you to Superintendent Hacker, Board of Education, custodial staff for all their work that they did in helping set this banquet up. Remind the people that photo opportunities will be. We're going to lower this banner down if you want more photos individually of our honored guests this evening. That certainly can be done. A reminder again that this is going to go on in 2009, in probably October again. And nomination forms for candidates for the next inducting class can be picked up at the Canby High School office. Without anything else from any committee or anyone else who would like to speak, we thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for all the fine people we have here and all of you for your attendance. Thank you, good night, and drive safely.
And we would ask that those members of the team, Mr. Jingle will be directing you location to come and stand. And this team was an undefeated team. Members of the team of 1946. They were Little Sioux Conference champs. Next would be the Canby High School 1950 football team, undefeated Little Sioux Conference champs. They're also second place rated in the state. Football team of 1950. Our individual inductees include Don Millard, class of 1941, participated in 3 sports at Canby High School, currently lives in St. Cloud. Next, in the class of 1945, current Canby resident, Gerald, Rhea. And here's Gerald. Also a 3-star betterman. Next, the class of 1947, living in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Mikkelson. Also a 3-star betterman. Next, from the class of 1951, would be Ron Smith. Ron has passed away. His wife lives in Bloomington, Minnesota, and will be with us tomorrow evening. Next, in the class of 1952, Mikkelson, currently resides in Ortonville. A 4-sport veteran. Next, in the class of 1958, just drove up from Tucson, Arizona, Ron Meade. 4-sport veteran. Next, class of 1967, Brian Gust, currently lives in Lakeville, Minnesota. Next, Coach Bill Bredeson, 31-year cross-country coach, currently living in Naples, Florida. Next, class of 1977, Canby resident Bredeson. The class of 1991, living in Hendricks, Minnesota currently, Drietz Olsen. With the little Olsen alongside. Congratulations, Hall of Fame individuals 2007. Let's have a big round of applause for all these guys.